Welcome to the channel. So today's video I'm gonna go over if the GoPro Hero 10 actually overheats in comparison to the GoPro Hero 9. So for the Red Bull generation, I'm not gonna waste your time. I understand you have very busy lives and you don't have time to sit and watch some guy on the internet talk about overheating and stuff like that. So for you guys, here are the charts. These are the numbers. Now, the times that you're seeing here, these are average times. So I spent a lot of time testing out these cameras. So I put in a lot of time and effort, and if you could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. If you watched some of my other videos recently, you know that I usually don't ask people to hit the like button, but I think I deserve it on this video, so that's why I'm asking. So in this video, I'm gonna go over first the setup, how I did the tests, and I'm gonna go over the results, and then I'm gonna go into some conclusions that I've made, and then I'm gonna explain to you why I'm actually decided to not replace my GoPro Hero 9 with the GoPro Hero 10. I'm actually gonna keep them both for very different things. So let's just go over it. Now, the setup. So the way I did this test is I shot at the widest possible angle. So I didn't go with the super view. I chose the widest angle, and I did put on boost mode where it was available, or the highest hyper smooth stabilization. And I think that if you knock off hyper stabilization, you will get a couple of more minutes. And I did run these tests about 3 times per resolution, per speed, and these are average times that you're basically seeing. So for example, on the GoPro Hero 10, you can see that I've reached 20 minutes on 4K, 120 frames per second. This is an average. Sometimes it was 17 minutes, sometimes it was 23 minutes, and so I basically averaged it out. And I did all of the tests indoors in a controlled environment, basically. The temperature in the room was about 22 degrees Celsius. And so obviously, if you're gonna film with these outside, you're probably gonna overheat a lot sooner. That goes without saying. So if we look at the results themselves, it's pretty obvious, to me at least, that the GoPro Hero 10 definitely does overheat a lot sooner. And GoPro did put out a statement that because of the higher frame rates and stuff like that, it will obviously overheat a lot sooner. But it's not exactly true, because I've seen that in comparison on the lower resolutions and the lower frame rates, it still overheated a lot quicker than the GoPro Hero 9. And my theory to this is basically that the chip that allows for those high frame rates, it is very powerful, but it doesn't handle heat very efficiently, unfortunately. But I still am glad that they decided to do this, because if they were to keep the same heat management, so to speak, then we would not see 4K 120 frames per second. We would definitely not see 5.3K resolution at 60 frames per second. Now, if we go down to 1080p and 4K in regular frame rates, you know, like 24 or 30 frames per second, I did notice that the GoPro Hero 9 could probably record longer. You can see those little stars. They basically mean that the GoPro Hero 9, it technically didn't overheat. It shut down because the battery would not allow for it to record longer. So for example, would I have connected it to a power source, I probably would have been able to record longer. Now, I use the same micro SD card on both these devices. It's the Kingston Canvas Plus. It's a very fast micro SD, so this was not a limitation on the micro SD. These are very small cameras, by the way, so heat management on this, it can't be easy. If you compare it to something like this is the Panasonic GH5. This one actually has a little fan inside of it, so when it goes into higher temperatures, it actually spins higher. And on the Sony a7C that I'm recording this video on, there is actually an overprotection mode, so you can't actually record for longer than 20 minutes without it shutting down. You can turn off this feature at your own risk, which I have without any issues. But on something as small as a GoPro, you will definitely face overheating issues. There is no doubts about that. But as far as saying that the GoPro Hero 10 overheats and the GoPro Hero 9 doesn't, that's not exactly true. My tests have revealed that the GoPro Hero 9 does overheat but it can record a lot longer before it actually overheats. So for example, if we look at 5K 30 frames per second, the GoPro Hero 9 could record for about an hour and 3 minutes. And on the GoPro Hero 10, you could only record for about 42 minutes. So you definitely get more battery life, and you know, this is less prone to overheat, definitely. Like, I'm not saying that this doesn't overheat, but I think it's very important to understand that both these cameras do overheat. That's my first conclusion, that yes, technically the GoPro Hero 10 does overheat a lot quicker than the GoPro Hero 9. But the second thing that I've noticed is that the GoPro Hero 9 has a lot better battery life, basically. You can record for much longer, and you know, the battery will not drain as quickly. Again, it's that chip that allows for high frame rates, but basically this chip is very powerful on the GoPro Hero 10, but it drains the battery a lot quicker. And so me personally, I think that's a fair compromise. You know, I would of course prefer it if this didn't overheat and you can shoot longer, but the chip that allows those high frame rates, it will draw more battery life. That's just the way it is. Now, the reason why I've decided to keep both of these cameras is actually two. One is because if you've seen my review of the GoPro Hero 10, I think that the GoPro Hero 9 actually has better image stabilization for reasons unknown. You can see comparisons in my review video. I can't explain it. Maybe it can be fixed with a firmware update, I'm not sure, but I seriously think that Hypersmooth 3.0 on the Hero 9 is better than Hypersmooth 4.0. That's just the way it is. Now, the GoPro Hero 10 doesn't have bad image stabilization, but it's not as good as the GoPro Hero 9. So that's the first reason. And the second one is that basically if I'm gonna shoot long format, then I would probably go with the GoPro Hero 9. You know, I can set it up for the media mod, for example. I can connect the media mod to the GoPro Hero 9 and get better audio. I can do it on the GoPro Hero 10 also, but because I get better battery life on the GoPro Hero 9, I think I will use the GoPro Hero 9 for long format videos. Now, if we look at these results here, I think it's fair to say that frame rate definitely does cause overheating a lot more than, you know, regular frame rate, which is like 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second. And to me personally, it's not a huge deal because usually when I shoot B-roll, when I use the GoPro, I shoot like for 10 seconds, you know, to get those smooth and crispy B shots. And, you know, if you're shooting in 4K 120 frames per second and you think that it's bad that it overheats after 20 minutes, I would say that honestly, do you really need to film for that long? But there, I will admit that I'm sort of defending GoPro. I think that most people just will not record for that long. But I mean, if you're doing something, I don't know, maybe like a roller coaster ride that lasts for 40 minutes, then maybe you should just drop the frame rate or drop the resolution to get better battery life. But personally, I think I would go with the GoPro Hero 9 then. So this is good news and this is bad news. This means that the GoPro Hero 10, it doesn't effectively replace the Hero 9. It's not better in every area. But on the other hand, I would argue that if you're wondering if you should get the GoPro Hero 9 or the GoPro Hero 10, the GoPro Hero 9 does have some benefits over the GoPro Hero 10. That's a positive side, I think. Now, just for the hell of it, I did try the max lens mod on the GoPro Hero 9 to see if that affects battery life. I don't think it really does, but I did put it on there so you can see you can shoot for about 55 minutes, average 2.7K at 60 frames per second. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. You can't unfortunately shoot with the max mod just yet because I think they will release a firmware update in November, I think, when the GoPro Hero 10 will support the max lens mod. Now, I also do want to mention that you could definitely tell when these are overheating. When you're shooting in something like 4K 120 frames per second or 5.3K at 60 frames per second, this thing gets hot, like literally hot, okay? And if you're shooting in 4K 60 frames per second, I would say it gets warm, and that's pretty much it. At 1080p, I felt that wasn't very warm, perhaps just slightly warmer, but not a big deal. But yeah, it definitely, I mean, the CPU on this thing definitely works really hard at those higher frame rates, no doubts about that. But all in all, I think that both of these cameras are pretty good. I like using both of these things, and I would recommend both of them for a lot of fun. The thing that they lack the most, in my humble opinion, is in low light performance, but these are GoPros. The sensors on these things, they're not very big, and so they can't take in as much light as, for example, a full frame camera or even a micro four thirds camera. So there is a physical limitation when it comes to low light performance. Now, if you're wondering if these cameras froze at any time for me during these tests, then my answer is no, not even a single time. Neither the Hero 9 or the Hero 10 froze at any time of this testing. And I'm saying it again, I did extensive testing. I tested every resolution for about 3 times, and that's why you have these average numbers. And not once did it freeze on me. So I think that's a very positive thing. I know that there are a lot of people who have been complaining about their GoPros freezing. I'm guessing maybe the memory card was too slow, possibly, I'm not sure. So if you want to use the same micro SD card that I'm using, I'll put a link in it in the video description. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. When it comes to settings in general, I had Bluetooth and GPS turned off, and the screens automatically turn down after about 10 minutes. I think obviously that had I had the screens on, I mean both the front and the back for the entire recordings, we would be seeing much shorter recording times, obviously. But yeah, that's it. This is my little GoPro Hero test. So the question, does the GoPro Hero 10 overheat? Yes, it does. But then again, so does the GoPro Hero 9, and so does, technically speaking, my Sony a7C if I don't have the overheating protection turned off. And I could say the same thing for my iPhone 12 Pro. It actually also does overheat compared to my iPhone 8 Plus. I remember on the iPhone 8 Plus, I could record 4K 60 for 2 hours, no problems. But on the iPhone 12 Pro, it actually overheated a lot quicker. So there is that. I think as these microprocessors get more powerful, it comes at the expense of battery and overheating issues. So hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.